Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're talking about the spell Shield.
Shielded with my Fitbit. Yes. It's notably been like, hey, why haven't you been to the gym this week? And I was like, calm down, Fitbit. Don't ask questions like that. This is a neat little first level spell for sorcerers, wizards, hexblades, artillerists, and battlesmith artificers. So there's a couple artificer subclasses, a warlock subclass, and the two best classes, well, two very good classes. Sorcerer and wizard both get this too. It's only first level spell and it's a reaction. This is, I think, one of the best spells in the game for how it kind of breaks the game. So it has range of spell, verbal smash opponents lasts a round. An invisible barrier of magical force appears and protects you. And again, this is a reaction. A reaction is taken, I should have read this first, when you are hit by an attack or targeted by the magic missile spell. So an invisible barrier of magical force appears around you, protects you until the start of your next turn. You have a +5 bonus to AC, including against the triggering attack, and you take no damage from magic missile. Now, that last text, as a DM, I don't run monsters with magic missile because that's a player spell. Why would I do that? I got monsters to use. They got other things they do. But if you're in like a wizard duel, sure, shield is an answer to a 9th level magic missile for free damage, I guess. It definitely is legacy in. But the meat of this text is it's a reaction for 5 AC. And a reaction for 5 AC for a whole ass round is way too much. It is really, really inexpensive. Every character under the sun with spell slots wants this, because what'll often happen is you'll be rocking in with a, let's take a very innocent build, a Blade Singer, which gets plus inch to its AC on top of your dexterity modifier as a wizard subclass. And then you're comfortably sitting in like +2 dex, +3 int, and that's going to be like an AC of 15. Now it's an AC of 20 because you got a shield at the disposal whenever you'd like. If you would get hit after they roll the dice and they have, a 40% chance to hit you or whatever, you could be like, I need to make sure that's another 5 higher than that, which may be an even lower percent chance to hit me. It becomes a kind of effect that you don't need to use it until you are hit. And when you do use it, it prevents that hit outright. So it's not really costing you anything to have it on your sheet until it matters. And when it does matter, you just stop taking damage. That's sort of its fairest use case, right? Is, I'm on not even a Blade Singer, just like a base wizard with mage armor. So I got like a 15 AC. I don't want to die. I throw this up, have a 20 AC for the round. Suddenly, nothing hits me this round most of the time, right? And in that use case, it's still excellent because the cost is just so freaking low.
Yes. Now, all right. Well, I wanted to ask you. You said the fairest use. Do you have unfair uses you wanted to cover?
Sure do.
All right. Well, first, I'll weigh in. I'll admit, when I first saw this spell, when I started playing 5e, I thought, this sucks. It's 1 round +5 AC. I guess that's good, but only 1 round. But yeah, then the more the more I talked about it and thought about it, I was like, oh, this is actually amazing. This is you don't use it until reacting to actually getting hit, and depending on how things are run at your table, then you can know whether or not that +5 is going to make the difference. Like
A lot of DMs roll in the open, right? And
well,
you'll
I mean, if you're playing on like D20, roll 20, then yeah, the dice rolls are right there. So yeah, and then like I say just a round, but then I thought it's the opposite. Oh, it's a full round. I mean, that all right, you shove off this attack, fine, but anyone else who attacks you, you're still shielded.
Yep.
That's pretty amazing.
For some reason, they felt fit to put this on the Battlesmith spell list, which is a mistake because Battlesmiths have already an egregious AC. Like they're not going to have a hard time dodging damage as is. And now they also have a reaction as a character with extra attack to get +5 AC, which is disgusting. Blade Singers are in the exact same camp. It's the kind of thing where Shield takes characters, especially like, I guess I'll start with this first before I dump into like the characters that stop getting hit. At first level and second level, I don't think it's probably worth the slot. I think whenever you don't have a lot of first level spells to spending them on not getting hit isn't as good as spending them on proactive actions like casting Burning Hands, casting, Ice Knife, casting Charm Person, or even like at second level having things like Invisibility or Ryan's Binding Ice. There'll be better ways to spend your early tier spell slots to end encounters as opposed to subsist through them. Where Shield is really, really disgusting is whenever you have 4 first level spell slots lying around that you're not using that often, and that normally comes around like 6th, 7th level whenever you're like, oh, there are 9 rounds in total in combat. This is now a way where 2 of those rounds I have spent an extra first level spell slot on not taking any damage. which is fundamentally breaking spellcasting further than it already is. As you get to the upper tiers, you start spending second level spell slots on these. If you're in like long enough, deep enough encounters, it's the reason why Silvery Barbs is so good, right? It's such a low cost. And that's why like at first, second level, you probably don't want this. And I think like your initial take on it's only a round, it's just AC. Do I really need this? It's not even that bad at first level. It's still just like I would usually rather have something proactive like a magic missile. But
Well,
past
see, I was
that point,
thinking first level. I mean, that's like if you're a first level wizard, you got like 5 hit points or something, then yeah, that one hit could just take you down. And
yeah,
if you can avoid that, that's nice.
sure. I think I'd rather kill everything trying to kill me. Like I'd rather have a burning hands or
I understand,
a mitigating
but if
factor for
that's,
that.
I mean, if that's not an option, then if you don't think your burning hands is going to put down the threat, then yeah.
Then you're fucked anyway because
Well, no,
well,
but this is a
like,
reaction.
but so like okay, if you
Oh,
spend
but
if
you
you
do
two
have a
spell slots,
limited. Yeah, right.
then you have no like if a better spell isn't going to kill the threat, you just
Okay,
say
you're.
I hope
I
my
see
team
what you're.
does.
Yeah,
Like you're going to be no matter what you do, you're going to be in a bad position with first level spells if you have to use shield to not die. It probably means like I can escape, maybe best case scenario, but a lot of the time you don't want to be in that scenario. You'd rather have other options to get you out of that scenario or avoid the scenario altogether, right? Like Charm Person and stuff.
yeah.
Hideous
I
Laughter is going to
still.
do a lot more to keep you from dying, I think, than a shield usually will in the
You're
early tier.
probably right, but I wouldn't fault someone for putting this. Taking this at first or second level.
I actually I do kind of agree. While I'm like saying it's probably worse, I think you won't be that upset if it does save your life every once in a while, and it
Yeah.
will sometimes, especially if you're playing again a lot of low tier. Then it might be something you want to consider, just because threats are unbelievably lethal at level 1. Just because the low CR stuff is not built to handle things with 6 hit points because it just kills them
And
sometimes.
and 5 bonus AC is pretty huge.
It's
It's
gigantic.
bigger there than it is at upper levels, but still
Well,
potentially very effective at upper levels.
I will also say this on Sorcerer's Wizard specifically, if you have shield, that means you're not using mage armor. And I'm not an advocate for mage armor. This is not to say you should take mage armor. I'm just saying your mage armor is probably giving you +4 to +5 AC from casting it, assuming you have a positive dexterity modifier, because that's your AC to 13, and you don't get armor proficiencies in any of these classes. So this might be the kind of situation where shield is going to put your AC to 17, whereas mage armor will always set your AC to 15. And if you're taking more than one attack, the latter is probably better. Like I'd probably rather have the 17 or the 15 AC on mage armor than a 1 round shield. If I'm going to spend a first level spell on AC at all, and I don't really think you need to. So that's just a thing to think about because I would much rather again blow things up.
Yeah.
That's a good reason to like play species that have armor proficiencies if you're like really worried about lethal low tier play. Outside of the low tiers, though, right? Like if we're looking at where this spell really starts to do utterly busted things, it's attached to things like Strixhaven Initiate, which lets you take a first level spell from any of these 2 classes, Sorcerer or Wizard, and put it on your spell or character sheet, and let you use spell slots on it. And that means it's available to Druids. That means it's available to Paladins. That means it's available to Rangers. That means it's available to anyone that has spell slots to cast Shield with, and you get a free use of Shield, which now sets characters up to not always, usually have a pool of +5 ACs to pull out of their back pocket that don't cost them anything. When I say don't cost them anything, I mean don't cost them actions. It gives you a way to cast spells that doesn't take your turn, and that is disgustingly powerful, especially if your AC is already 22. If you're already a paladin in full plate with a shield, and you can just be like, shield? 27 AC now? Let's do it. You're going to be really, really happy. Like it's going to end up feeling very strong. Now you do need an open hand, so if you're probably going to want to be a 2-handed paladin as opposed to a sword and board, just because you want to make sure you have an open hand and you can let go of a great sword and hold it with one hand to have the somatic material for shield. But like clerics can take this, they can have the armor proficiency, they're not getting hit anymore. In the upper tiers, you're not going to struggle to see things that have upwards of 30 AC just because this spell exists and is really easy to get access to in the narrow windows where something rolls a 19 with a +14 to hit. And then you go, oh, I'd rather not take that 5%er that it hits me shield. It becomes a gargantuan problem on a lot of character sheets because it's so easily accessible. Biggest offender is Bladesinger. My god, Bladesinger just stacks AC so fast, doesn't have to do anything to earn that AC. It's just like, oh yeah, I just have a giant AC and extra tech, and I'm also a wizard, so don't worry about it. But like, Paladins are really gross. Battlesmiths are really gross. Hexblades are worse because they're warlocks, so you only get 2 slots or 3 slots in the mid tiers, and it's like, I don't really want to spend a first levels. I don't really want to spend one of my 3, 5, 5th level spell slots on shield. Every other full caster though, or even the half casters, it's gonna be great. Like, you're never gonna go, oh, I can't believe I have shield on my character sheet. I have no way to use this in any of these encounters. You'll be like, oh, I spent 2 first level spell slots this long rest on shield, and both times they were amazing. They shrugged off like 8d12 damage or something in total.
All right. Were these the unfair ways you were talking about? Or?
Yes, stacking AC with shield is really degenerate. It's very hard to manage as a DM without just throwing saves at things constantly, and then the player goes, I made this build for a reason. You're not letting me do my thing. And I'm like, I have thrown so many attacks at you already that haven't hit, and you're like, but I still took some damage. And it's like, I need to challenge you somehow. Would you rather not play and just take like the hold person? It can be very frustrating.
Well, I mean, I think you said it there. Who's complaining about that? You know, some monsters attack with attacks, and some, creatures do breath weapons or cast spells or whatever.
I think here's a really crucial difference. Every monster's primary means of dropping players is attack actions. Every single monster in the game takes the attack action regularly. They have attack actions on their sheet to do that. There are some, like Beholders, that prioritize their raise. Their raise, I believe all their raise are saves. Maybe 1 or 2 are attack rolls, but for the most part, they're all saves. But like the vast majority of encounters, by a large margin, even dragons, they get a breath weapon once every like 6 rounds, and the rest of the time it's 2 claws and a tail. The rest of the time it is I take the attack action, which is entirely mitigated by shield. Because shield goes, oh, we've reached a tier where you have 25 AC, now you have 30 sometimes. And when you have 30 sometimes, you need plus 14s, plus 15s, and high rolls to be able to hit. So, like, unless you're attacking 150 times, you're just not going to take damage at that point, unless you get crit, and then, that happens 1 in 5, like 5% of encounters. As stack disadvantage on top of that, and you're like, okay, now you're setting up characters that objectives are not to be hit by attack rolls, and that can be very difficult to challenge, just because if I want to run failed monsters that have their same AC and not feel like I'm cheating, I need that. On the other hand, you'll have the rogue that's AC 17 still that gets one-shot by these things that have plus 17 to hit to try and challenge the paladin, right? Like, it's a very frustrating experience to go through. Shield definitely needs a rework. I think there needs to be methods to prevent this kind of abuse. Blade Singer was probably a mistake. Battlesmith does not need shield. Like, these are all little things that take this thing to make it a 5. It's disgusting. It's really, really busted. It's very, very hard to manage past like 9th level. It can lead to a ton of frustrations on the player and DM side when players try and navigate it, or on every DMs try and navigate like weaknesses for it, and players are like, why am I always making saves now? It's a whole mess of a spell.
Well, I guess we can both agree that this is a 5, though.
It's so busted.
Yeah.
At a casual table, it's probably fine. Whenever you start doing spikier stuff, it's really, really, really good.
All right. Well, that was Shield. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Let us know your Shield stories down in the comments. I'm sure everybody's got some, and your opinions or whatever. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it, a gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.